Does the UK have a duty to take more Afghan refugees? The government is expected to announce a new resettlement scheme shortly. Now, we don't know the exact details yet, but it will reportedly be based on the scheme for refugees from Syria, which saw around 20,000 people resettled in the UK. Well, in the past week, just 289 Afghans have been rehomed here, and critics say that this number should increase massively. 400,000 Afghans have been displaced in recent months, and these were the scenes at Kabul airport yesterday as hundreds, if not thousands, attempted to flee. So, Sonia, does the UK have a duty to take refugees, and a lot more refugees than they already have?
Absolutely, we do. I think we've got sort of two sets of moral responsibilities. The first is to people who actually worked with British forces, with the British embassy out there. And we know that there are people who did work with the Brits whose applications have already been turned down. We had the military chiefs 3 weeks ago writing to the government saying people are having applications turned down for no reason. These are people whose lives are at risk. We urgently need to sort this out. And the government has not acted in the way that it should have done in response to those warnings. So that's the first set of obligations. Then we also have a broader set of moral obligations to people, to civilians who are at risk in Afghanistan now. That includes many women who've been in public life. One MP was talking about, the first female mayor in Afghanistan, and she's saying she's just waiting for the Taliban to come and kill her. And so we absolutely urgently should be getting people at risk outside of Afghanistan. And I'm really delighted to hear that the government is announcing a scheme, but I think it's coming too late. We've known that this, yes...
It's not exactly a big shock, is it?
Yeah.
I just want to put in here, because speaking on LBC yesterday, the Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace, welled up as he discussed the people who might not be able to escape.
At the very least, our obligation has to be as many of these people through the pipeline as possible. But I think I also said, and it's a really deep part of regret for me, that some people won't get back. Some people won't get back, and we will have to do our best in third countries to process those people.
Powerful stuff, but Dawn, what do you think? You agree?
Excuse me, I totally agree with everything Sonia just said. I think we have a moral obligation. We have 3,300 people out there still who helped us when we were out there, not just the interpreters, but the sort of like people that were sort of like supporting us in every sense out there, and they're still out there, Tricia.
Yeah, yes.
And and there were still 4,000 British citizens still out there. Yeah. So how the hell anyone thought it was a good idea to just up sticks and leave these people? Now, the one thing, as I said earlier on, that really is worrying me at the moment, and I've become obsessed with reading the testimonies of the women and the girls in Afghanistan. Yeah. These are the ones that we need to concentrate on, because we know the Taliban's form with how they treat females. There are some absolutely horrific stories. Already there's stories about the Taliban in the cities they have captured, and bear in mind, it took 10 days to capture literally the whole of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
They're going around the houses, and where there are women who may or may not have displeased the Taliban, they're marking pink crosses on their door.
Oh, boy.
To go back later and deal with them. Yeah. And we all know what dealing with them will involve.
And what worried me is when you saw the pictures of those people crowded into the planes. They were nearly all men. But here's the thing that I want to put to both of you. Initially, let's say yesterday, when there were newspaper reports about the Taliban marching into Kabul, the remarks on newspapers, I always look at the remarks, how terrible, how dreadful, basically what we're saying. Then it comes to the question of refugees. Suddenly it's the NIMBY, not in my backyard. No, we've got enough, we're full up. No, look, it's very sad, but they have to stay there. So how much is there an appetite in the light of Priti Patel's work against, her whole platform has been, I'm going to clamp down on immigration, all of these things. Suddenly now she's going to have to do a backflip. How much of an appetite do you have after the tears of ministers and the tears of everybody watching those pictures? How much of an appetite is there to actually take refugees at decent numbers in this country?
I think most people will see this as a genuine refugee situation, and I really hope that most people in this country have it within their hearts to help the people.
But what sort of numbers are you thinking of? We said 20,000 with Syrians. This is an even bigger problem.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Tricia, this is a global situation. This is not just down to the UK or America. I mean, Albania, which is a tiny country.
Yeah, Kosovo even.
Yeah, absolutely. They've said they're willing to take as many as... And I do think that maybe some of the Middle Eastern countries need to step up a bit more.
Yeah, but Britain, come on.
But if you look at...
I mean, I can't put a figure on it because I don't know how many would want to choose to come to this country or how many we can take. I mean, it's I'm not a government minister. Sometimes I wish I was.
I think we need to sort of put it in the context as well. So, we take a relatively, compared to our population size, a tiny number of refugees. We actually take fewer refugees in this country per population than countries like France and Germany. If you're looking at what happened after Syria, the vast majority of displaced people from Syria are in countries surrounding Syria. So Turkey has got far more Syrian refugees, for example, than the UK.
So those countries already do absorb them.
They do absorb a lot. And actually, we need to be thinking about, I think, working more constructively with countries around Afghanistan to help them support. Because, the one myth about refugees is that they always want to get as far as they possibly can from their home country. That's just not true. Lots of people actually want to stay close by because they want to go back to their country
actually, when
things are better. So I think there's way more this country can do. I think this government has been using asylum seekers and refugees, genuine refugees, as political footballs to try and get sort of purchase with the public. I actually think the public are a lot more decent than this government give them credit for, and I think the British people will want us to do.
Well, let's find out.